Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out another edition of Gundam Weapons here, this Mook from Hobby Japan. This is all about the GP01 Gundam. It's the RX-78 GP01 Gundam Special Edition Master Grade model Mook here. So if you're fans of Stardust Memory, if you're a fan of the GP01 Gundam, let's go ahead and check out this one. Now, the Master Grade GP01, GP02, and GP03 I know are ones that a lot of people put at the top of the list for wanting a 2.0 Master Grade of some of those. I definitely agree. I would love to get 2.0s of those Master Grades. That said, the GP01 Real Grade is really nice. I would say if you guys do want a really nice model kit of the GP01, check out the Real Grade. But while we wait for the 2.0, let's see some nice builds here of the 1.0 from when this book came out. This came out at 1,429 yen. The print date for this looks like 1997, so yeah, that would have been pretty shortly after the release of the kit because it was one of the first Master Grades out, so it would have been pretty close to right around that time. But just to show you guys, under the dust jacket here, it's just the same cover minus the image. And then let's get into it. So we got some line art right here. And we're gonna see, obviously, the GP01 as the main focus at the front. We'll see a couple models of that, but then I know there's some other stuff at the back, like I mentioned. So here's a really nice big photograph. This one is modeled by Yukio Ageta. It's a familiar name, as I remember seeing his name, I believe, in a different Gundam Weapons issue from around that time, a different earlier Gundam Weapons issue. So here we've got our contents right there, and let's get into it. So we got some cool like story photographs here, and the photography, I should also give credit to the photographer here for this one. The photos are by Akishige Homatsu. And so I think what the story is just kind of like the backstory of the unit, and so here we have some like photos with the model kit, like playing out some of the scenes from the series, from the beginning of the series there. So once we get through all of that, here we get to the actual kit review. So this is going to be, I think, just like some of the promotional images here. So this one is probably the production model, which was made for the release of the Master Grade here. And so we've got all these different detail pictures showing off the different gimmicks of it and everything with the core fighter, the details inside the skirt. This was, early on in the Master Grade line, as I talked about recently in the video talking about Master Grade kits, where you have a partial inner frame here, you can see like for the legs, but it didn't have a full inner frame. So you just have some kind of internal detail in some areas without an actual like frame, as we're used to in more modern Master Grades. So here's about the core fighter, the weapons, and everything. So this next one, it looks like would be very similar, if not the same on the surface, but as we can see here from the work in progress photos over on this page, this one does have some slight modifications to it. So there's a little bit of modification done around like on the legs here, for example, around on the face, the hands. They just like scratch built some new hands for it. They're basically just kind of like carving those out of putty. Modifications to some parts there in the feet, for example. Basically just filling some of these sinks in the plastic there, it looks like, for the most part. So not a lot of like huge amounts of modification to this, just some, just finer touches here and there, just to kind of refine the design a little bit. So pretty nice build there of it, still kind of sticking very close to the original design. I mean, nothing, like I said, no major changes or anything like that to it. We got a fold out page here with the GP01 and a Zaku battling it out. Encount, not, as you guys can see up the title up there, Encount, not Encounter. This one is modeled by Takuji Yamada. Pretty cool desert action scene there with the sand effects and the kind of explosion, the swinging of the beam saber effect there. On the opposite side of this, we've got Hide in Forest. This one is pretty cool. This is what you can see on the back side cover, actually, right there, this build. It's cool to see the Gundam painted like in all black there, or almost black, it would look like. This one's modeled by Nobuyoshi Ochi. It also has this very interesting kind of World War II style kind of decal there on the shield. Pretty cool there with the big orange logo, big orange number, I should say, up on the shoulder. Next is the GP01 in action for part 3 here. So this is going to be some more photos of that desert scene that we just saw. So here you can see like the full diorama of that minus all the effects and everything. Pretty cool, like the effect on the sand there. I just kind of use, I don't know, whatever kind of tool it was to kind of comb these effects, the waves and the sand and everything. You can see we have the one Zaku, which is being attacked, and then like the other one, which is sort of already kind of half destroyed and half buried there in the background. It's pretty cool. Oh, here's another nice fuller image here of that. So yeah, I was trying to tell if that Zaku is like cut in half or if it's just like half buried in the sand, and it looks like it's more so cut in half. I don't remember this scene. I would imagine this is playing out a scene from the anime, but I don't remember the beginning well enough to know if he cut a Zaku in half. But so here's another look at that in detail, so you can see some of the details of like the Zaku, which is being cut in half over there with the full one, not the one that's laying down in the sand. But you can see how the kit is mounted as well. The GP01 mounted with just like a rod going up into the foot there to give it the look that it's like jumping through the air like that. That's pretty cool, and it's kind of hidden. Like if you're looking at it from this way, you can't see the rod because it's kind of hidden behind this like small dune there at the bottom. So that's pretty nice. Nice consideration there for that. It's pretty nice weathering on it in that it's not overdone. It's not like, you know, covered with sand and dirt and weathering all over the place. So you can see there's definitely some dirt and sand. It's got some kind of scratches, some deeper scratches there, kind of along the shields and bullet holes and stuff on the shield, which, you know, is meant to be, the shield is there to block incoming damage, right? And so it makes sense that that's the most damaged part of the build for the GP01, where the main body doesn't really have a whole lot of like battle damage or anything on it, just some kind of minor weathering, mostly around the feet, as those are what's in the sand, in the dirt. So we got some more photos and details about the Hidden Forest build here. This one, again, I really like that big, bright 06 on the shoulder. It doesn't really help it camouflage here in this night scene, but it does look really cool, just as a nice bright detail on there. So you can see some more of that. The foliage, I will say, is a little bit distracting just because it does look out of scale. It looks very large compared to the Gundam, but still makes for a pretty cool scene there and very unique. I mean, just this sort of like conifer forest is a pretty unique setting to have like a Gundam diorama. Normally it'd be sort of more like tropical or desert or something like that for these outdoor themes. So it is a pretty unique one. And yeah, the Gundam itself is not actually just painted like all black. In this like dark photography, it looks pretty black. You can't really see the camouflage on it, but well lit, you can actually see that it does have a really nice camouflage pattern on it, which is pretty subtle, but it's in like typical camouflage colors of like that olive drab and sort of black, very dark gray kind of color there. And even you can see like the original colors, like the center part of the torso, which is originally red, here is just like a super, super dark red. And even like the V-fan as well. And so it's just basically like the areas of the kit which would have been white originally are painted with that camouflage pattern on it. Really cool build, very unique, very interesting. It's not something that I would think to do, especially with this particular Gundam. Doesn't really strike me as a Gundam that which would, you know, fit well with that kind of camo pattern on it, but it just kind of goes to show that, you know, painted really well, you can make it work. It's pretty cool. All right, so GP01 variants now we're getting into here for part 4. The first one is not really so much of a variant, GP01 Gundam here, but this one is modeled by Yukio Ageta. Okay, so this is the same one that we saw before. And so I guess this is going to give us some more details about that. Okay, right, yeah, so I'm getting kind of, it's a bit confusing, kind of the layout of this, as this is the Gundam which was used for the intro, or this is the build, I should say, that was used for the intro. And then immediately after that, it just goes into like the production model. And now, as we're getting into this section of the book, it's getting back to the Gundam which was used at the start here, Ageta-san's build. So here you can see this one does have a little bit more customization in it, in that it's kind of more bulked out in the shoulders, in the legs, in the feet. A little bit more kind of Katoki feeling with this one, just I guess just because the added bulk and length added around in the legs especially. But pretty nice looking build here. You can see there's some modifications, some proportion adjustments here in the head as well. Therefore that, a lot of putty used, all this yellow. You can see there's all that polyester putty, it would look like, used for that. So really nice build here, pretty standard to like the kind of look of early master grades. Sort of like this was definitely kind of the look of the time for this type of custom build. So that looks really cool. All right, here we've got the GP01 Gundam. This one meant to look like the prototype, or like an early prototype of it. And this one also does have a little bit of a camo pattern on it, which again is kind of very much like 90s master grade painting style with the pre-shading on it and the subtle camouflage on it. This one is by Mahito Kugu. And a pretty cool scene there with the kind of hanger, just as a simple background there for it. You can see the full build where, again, like the parts of the kit that would be blue normally, like the feet and the torso, are in this really super dark, desaturated blue. The jewel on the head, the V-fin itself is white, and then all the rest of the sections of the kit, which normally would be white, have this kind of very subtle camouflage on it, which is pretty interesting. Almost looks like an aquatic use version or something, like it's meant for use under the water, just because that's what that camo pattern looks like on it. But pretty interesting. Again, very unique. Definitely, again, not something I would think to apply on the GP01. Here we've got the Strike GP01 by Shuji Ozanari. Pretty interesting concept with this. Sort of reminds me a bit of like the Mark II Super Gundam, but if you like made a GP01 version of that, where it's got this big backpack with wings and a big long gun on it. But this one even has some more kind of quite interesting weapons and stuff added on. I'm not really sure what this like spiky sea urchins looking thing is supposed to be there on the angles. But a lot of like how detailed some of these added parts are on it also kind of remind me of some of like the F91 designs as well. So kind of interesting design there for that. There's some more detailed shots about the core fighter and like the equipment added onto that, which we see on the backpack of the mobile suit. Very interesting. All right, a full armor GP01. Now this looks pretty cool as well. And once again, we have this nighttime scene here to start off where you can't really see it in too much detail. But on the next page here, we got the full front and back images of the design. Again, quite interesting. It reminds me a lot of the Jim Cannon, I believe it is, right? Which has a very similar look to it, which just with like this dark green armor added on it, and obviously it has a big cannon there as well. Again, with some pretty big wings up on the back, folded up there. That bright shiny silver for the cannon over here on the side of the arm is kind of distracting, to be honest. Don't really like how like chrome that looks, but still a really cool design here for this. I wonder if there's going to be an image of the kit with like the armor detached. No, not really. So I guess it's all just kind of probably fixed onto the kit as it is built like to be like this, not that the armor is removable. There's a little bit of weathering here and there. You can see on it there's like some rusty bits kind of here and there, which on the build so far we haven't seen a whole lot of weathering. And in this book series, you normally don't see a whole lot of weathering on these. So the little bit of like subtle bits of rust here and there on it is sort of unique to the Gundam Weapons series. You typically don't see too much weathering, although we did see this whole like battle damage, the desert scene, right? But all right, now we're getting into the GP01 full burn-in, or the full vernier, however you want to pronounce it. It is kind of strange how this one does seem to like never really have been clearly specified what the name is really supposed to be by Bandai, as it just kind of depends on when it is that it's published. But this one, interestingly enough, is a 100 scale parastic kit conversion, not plastic, but spelled with an R. A parastic kit conversion by Shimon Ogma. So this one is before there was a master grade version of this. Yeah, it looks like it's based off of a garage kit, is what it's saying over here, I believe. So that's pretty interesting. That's why it has a little bit different proportions. Like the backpack parts look particularly large on it, and the leg parts also look different from what the master grade looks like. I know. So here we have, let's see. All right, so this is about the next master grade. So this is just kind of like an advertisement that the full burn-in was coming out. At the time that this book was published, it was not out yet. So these are just like some sample images of the prototype for that. And over here, this looks like the production images for the GP01 FB master grade just before it came out. So it wasn't actually out in time, I guess, for... Interesting why they didn't just wait and make it not publish this yet until this was released, because it seems like it was almost released at the time that this Mook was released, and so they might as well just wait until they have that out, and then they can also include some more about the GP01 FB in this Mook as well. But anyway, I guess that's for a different book. Some really cool line art and artwork here for the GP01 FB though, so that's pretty awesome to see. And let's see, the next part is master grade model in 0083. So here we have, this is going to be about some other master grades that are available from the series. Here we got the ZakuAurelius F2. Really wish that we could get a master grade 2.0 of this as well at some point. Would be nice. I talked about that in another issue of Gundam Weapons that we saw recently that also featured some ZakuAurelius F2s in there. But this one's pretty cool looking there with a little bit different color scheme on it, kind of a little bit darker green than what you normally see. It also doesn't have the black on the chest, so a little bit slightly altered color scheme. This is a color scheme that we did have, these two different alternate color schemes for the ZakuAurelius F2 that we did have come out as premium Bandai master grade releases, which are pretty cool. Again, it would be nice if we could get a 2.0, but you know, having color variants is okay. Anyway, So that said, the HGUC version of the F2 is amazing. So if you guys are also, like me, fans of the ZakuAurelius F2, I would just recommend checking out the HGUC kit. Here is a 100 scale scratch build Domtropen by Tomoki Kuriyama. So that's pretty impressive. A scratch build here of the Domtropen, which we still don't even have a 1.0 master grade of this. But again, the HGUC kit, although pretty old and not like the best HGUC kit around, it is still a really cool HG kit. So again, if you're a fan of the design, check out the HG. But hopefully we'll get an actual like proper MG at some point. It's a cool design. And I have to imagine that the HG has sold pretty well over the years, because it does get reprinted fairly regularly as far as I can remember. And I know it is pretty popular. So being kind of like a souped up Dom, essentially, with some really cool equipment and weapons and everything, it'd be nice to get a new, or not a new, it'd be nice to get an MG of that. So here we got the Drosy. This one is the plastic kit master grade ZakuAurelius F2 converted into the Drosy here. And it's kind of interesting how they have the one with the traditional Drosy head, and they have another one up here with the ZakuAurelius head. And this one also appears to be different from the one that we've seen in, again, a different issue before had a 1/100 scale scratch build of the Drosy. This one is different though. One interesting difference is the texture added onto the arms, the torso, the legs, the shield, and interestingly, not onto the balls or the head. So I'm not really sure. I'm sure there's information here. Again, all the text in these being Japanese just means you just kind of have to do some translation to get the full value of all the text and everything, but I'm sure that's talked about why the texture was added on that, and I'm sure it's an interesting reason, but it is certainly unique that there's so much texture added on that. Normally that's something that you would expect to see on like a ground type mobile suit. That much texture added onto like a space type mobile suit is pretty unique, so I'll have to do some translating later and see what I can read up about why that was used for that. Here we got a B Club resin kit remodeled into a 1/100 scale gym custom. So yeah, obviously we would get a master grade of this out eventually, but at the time it was non-existent. It's definitely a little bit different color scheme for this as well. I know the gym custom's typically in like a lighter kind of lighter blue color, sort of like a minty blue kind of color. This one's definitely in like kind of a bluish gray. Quite unique kind of color scheme for it. I definitely prefer this color scheme, I have to say, over the traditional color scheme for the gym custom, but it does look pretty nice. Nice proportions on that, very mean looking head there on it as well. Yeah, really cool proportions there on the legs and everything. So I wonder who the B Club kit was designed by, but I'm not sure. Anyway, if you guys know, you can let me know. I'd just kind of be interested to know about that. And here we have a Gelgoog, obviously the 1/100 scale Gelgoog kit here. This would also be the master grade kit, yeah, I believe, right? The master grade Gelgoog would have been out at that time, the 1.0 of course. So okay, that is going to be our last color build for this. Now we're getting into the last section here, which is the articles. And the articles, as we've seen in past issues, is basically where you have more information about the builds from the builders. And so it just kind of goes through and you have this big section of text here. The more photographs, they're just kind of black and white photos there of the kits, just like for a reference. And there's more information from the builders about the builds. So again, if you guys are up to the challenge of doing a lot of translating and making sense of all of that, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of great reading material in here. Again, if you're like particularly a fan of this particular build and you want to read more about it, there's a lot of text in here to do that. So I would say it's definitely worth checking out. And I guess that was not the last part, I should say. This is the last part, design works, but it's usually pretty short, just a couple pages here. This section where we just have a bunch of line art. So this is line art of the GP01 here, and there's some other kind of detail artwork here of like the head of the core fighter. A bunch more here, a lot of line art and detail sketches and everything for different aspects of the design. Here's the Katoki sketch right here, and then of the GP01 Fb as well. So those are, looks like, right? Yeah, those are Katoki sketches. And then let's see, what else do we got here? This looks like prototype images, maybe, of the development of the kits. So this is in 1997 in April, 1997 in May. So leading up to the release of the kit, these are just kind of talking about the development of the kit, it looks like, in like the early production stages. And the later production, once they have the design kind of more nailed down. And once again, some more line art work here. Details about the production of the kit and everything. Some really cool sketches here of the inner mechanical detail, which is nice. I'm not sure if any of this was used in the manual for the kit. I don't have the kit for reference. If one of you guys do have the manual, you can let me know if any of these images made it into there. Of course, that's one thing that was nice about the earlier master grade manuals, that they featured some more of this cool like mechanical illustration work, which is certainly nice to see. So it's cool to see that in here. And then here we've got the 1.0 Gundam next to the 1.0 GP01. Well, I guess it's not really, we don't really call it a 1.0 if it only has that one kit, right? So the master grade GP01 there with the 1.0 RX-78 Gundam, just to give you an idea of how old it really is. Yes, in July of 1997 was the release of that kit, and now that makes it, let's see, 26 years old, so pretty old. That's probably older than a lot of you. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this issue of Gundam Weapons. Pretty cool look back at the GP01 and a few other designs there from the Stardust Memory series, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Really appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you so much. If you want to check out some more Gundam models, paints, and tools and supplies, all that good stuff, of course, you can check the link down in the video description below there to USA Gundam Store. We've got all sorts of cool stuff like that for you guys as well. And like I said, guys, thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure to also check the bell, ding the bell there, if you want to make sure that you don't miss all future uploads. But for now, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much. We'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.